guys, it's the interview queen Alicia Atu here, and I would like to welcome you to a wrestling review by Alyx in Alyx's World. This is a safe space for wrestling fans to be just that, wrestling fans. So at this point in time, I have a favor to ask all of you. Be sure to hit that notification bell so anytime Alyx posts a brand new podcast, you'll get the alert and be able to check out the awesome content. And while we're at it, Alyx is trying to expand his brand. He has a pro wrestling tee store now, so also check that out and support him that way. Thank you so much for hanging with me, guys. This has been the Interview Queen. Now enjoy the videos.
My name is Jack, and this is the story of why I quit the WWE.
You are now entering Alyx's world.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It is your boy, Alyx Man. Before we get started, I have to give a special thanks to the interview queen, Alicia Atu. You saw the intro she made for me, and it is a pleasure. It is a blessing to have her give me the shout out that I feel like this channel needs. Her mystic powers, her magic wand spells are gonna do what's necessary to help get this channel to 30,000 subscribers. So I hope you guys pull out your Hello Nurse hats. Those of you who watch Animaniacs will get that reference. And give her some love. Go ahead and check her out. She has a YouTube channel. Follow her on Twitter. The Interview Queen has her own Twitter. Alicia Atu. It's really not that hard to look for her. Check her out. Definitely someone who is coming up in the business and deserves a lot of love from so many more wrestling fans. And also, want to thank everyone for showing love to my last podcast on Stone Cold Steve Austin, where we talked about or recapped The Undertaker. I think that's sitting at, 60,000 views? Holy crap. That's massive, guys. Hey, I go where the views are. Y'all want to see me recap or review these sessions? I'm going to do it for you. So here's another one. Also, yes, I do know that a lot of people thought that was the actual podcast, which to me is ridiculous because in the title, it literally said recap and then / quick review of Raw. So anyone saying I'm using clickbait, I mean, looking at the freaking picture, it was a picture of the interview and then Raw photos. So I don't know what anyone was saying. I'm probably going to get the exact same complaints from people in the comments on this one. Oh, clickbait. Okay, well, thank you for your views. Honestly, I'm not going to be bothered by it. Go ahead and like the video or dislike it, no matter how you feel. I'm pretty sure people are going to find a reason to dislike this video regardless, because it's not the interview. Why would you expect the interview to be on YouTube? But regardless, if you are a fan of mine and you do actually like the video, please do me a favor. Give it a like and subscribe. Help your boy Alyx Man get to 30,000 subscribers. And while you're at it, if you really want to help expand the brand of your boy Alyx Man, you can do a couple of things. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter at AlyxManVX1, donate using PayPal, Patreon, or Super Chats. You can also email me at justalyxsworld@gmail.com, either just to say hi or questions or business inquiries, wherever you want. Also, for a limited amount of time before I become Alyx, because that is happening soon, get yourself a Alyx Man t-shirt today at Pro wrestling tees. Let's say what's up to the people here in the live chat. I am expecting this to be one of those crowds that is not too big because there are so many reviews going on right now as I'm speaking. So I'm not expecting a big crowd this early at least, but we got some people here. I want to say what's up to Isaac. What's up, Isaac? Alexander, I'm going to get your last name wrong, but let's see if I can get it right. Arellano. Is it like, do I roll my R? Arellano. I can't even do it right. Close enough. Sam3. Corey Payne. This is another one. Is it Sifnark? Sifnark. Big B Wolf. Big Daddy KB. What's up, Big Daddy? We got Bradley Xavier. We got Garrick Farham. We got Marvin Jackson. We got, here comes another one. Joe Arredondo. Armando Alejandro Estrada. Close enough. Oh yeah, Mr. Krabs. King Mike Toots. And let's see, the last one is going to go to, let me see. Who's it going to go to? We got, wait, is that everybody? That can't be everybody. It says I have about, oh, here we go. Here they come. All right, the last one's going to go to TLB, the Fly Guy. All right, so if I don't say your name, it's not because I hate you. And everyone's like, come on, you can't roll your R's? Nah, boy, I can't roll my R's. Leave me alone. But like I was saying, if I don't say his name, it's not because I hate you. I do want to get to this podcast because I feel like I have a lot to discuss. So again, like the video and help your boy Alyx and get to 30,000 subscribers. Regardless, thank you for making me a part of your day. Now, let's get to it. No, I did not watch TLC because I know a lot of people was wondering if I was going to do a review on it. I already said on Twitter and whatever social media you follow me on, I don't really plan on doing any more WWE reviews for the rest of the year. Unless like a big spectacular show happens, like the greatest show of all time, which is not going to happen. Trust me. It ain't happening, at least for WWE. NXT and AEW, we'll have to see. But it ain't happening. And I knew TLC was not going to be something noteworthy. And based off of the negative feedback, yeah, I made a good decision not to watch the show. Although I did watch Bray Wyatt versus The Miz. That was awesome. But I didn't watch the full show. And so if I'm not going to watch the full show, why do a review on it? You know, wouldn't that be the right way to go about it? If I'm going to watch it, then do a review. If I'm not going to watch it, why do a review? Makes the most sense. So if you're looking for a TLC review, I would recommend Good Mic Work. I would recommend Solid Monster. I would recommend maybe, I don't know if OTRS Central's doing it. I know Patrick's Crazy Place is probably going to do a review if he cares to watch the show. There's plenty of other people. Joe Cronin, JD for NY. I'm pretty sure most of those well-known YouTubers are going to do reviews. Wrestling with Regret is probably someone I would really recommend. But, you know, there's plenty of other people to talk about this stuff. Me, I'm going to talk about this. This is a Stone Cold interview with Goldberg. Broken Skulls Sessions. Let me get that right. Broken Skulls Sessions, episode 2. So we're going to break down everything discussed. We're going to recap what was said and just talk. Because apparently, that's what you guys want. You want me to talk about it. So here I am. And yes, Super Chats are on. I will not go out of my way to stop Super Chats from being blocked. If you want to donate, your Super Chat will appear on the screen at any point in time. So feel free to go crazy. So let's get started. Overall, I thought the interview was really good. I really enjoyed seeing these two chat it up. There's something about Austin's interview style that makes it feel like we're there with them. You know what I mean? I don't know how most of you live your social lives, but I'm going to assume 90% of you, well, my demographic is 18 to 39, so 99% of you go to bars or just chill at your houses drinking beer or whatever alcohol beverage fits your bill. And you like chilling, you know? This is what this interview was like. It's like being with two guys and just chilling, just talking it out. And I love that about Stone Cold's interviews. This was no different. He came hard with the questions, which is exactly how I like it. I love intense questions because it makes the people who answer them feel a lot more important, make them feel tough. If you can't handle the heat, get out the kitchen. The people who crumble under this interview style, to me, aren't worth your time. If you're going to be interviewed by Stone Cold Steve Austin, you need to be able to take the heat and keep on coming. And Goldberg did pretty good, as expected. It's freaking Bill Goldberg. So, let's go ahead and recap what was said on this show. The first thing they talked about was how they hated being mistaken or compared to each other because, oh my god, it's two white guys who are bald with goatees or something like that. Even back then in the 90s, they were being compared. I have to be honest. And to be fair, I was 8 years old, but I was one of the people that mistaken Goldberg and Stone Cold Steve Austin as the same people, honestly. Just a little background of me. The very first match I ever watched as a wrestling fan was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels. The very next match that I watched was Hulk Hogan versus Goldberg. But hey, I thought Goldberg was Stone Cold Steve Austin, so I'm thinking, oh crap, it's Stone Cold. My dad was watching with me, and he had to remind me, it's not Stone Cold. I'm like, what are you talking about? It clearly is Stone Cold. And he's like, no, that's Goldberg. And after seeing him wrestle, I went, oh, okay. So as an 8-year-old, I deserve some slack. But if you're in your 20s and 30s, come on. I get it. And they go into detail why they didn't like it, but to me it's just like, really? Like, these two, yeah, they're similar, but they're clearly not the same person. Come on. Clearly. They get into the interview, and they talk about how Stone Cold versus Goldberg is a dream match. One of those dream matches that never happened, and unfortunately, never will. And for our sake, let's hope it doesn't, especially where they are right now in their careers. Austin says he doesn't like when people fancy book him, like Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk. Well, modern day Austin.
They're both bald, lol.
Yeah, they're both bald, unfortunately. Thank you, Mr. Crash, for the donation. Now, Austin is basically saying he doesn't like being fancy booked to wrestle modern day wrestlers. And that does make sense. Austin is one of those guys who retired at the perfect time of his career. In the right way. His final match was against his greatest rival, The Rock, and he put him over. Sounds good to me. And let me just say this. While I agree with him, and trust me, I can tell it annoys the shit out of him. I can tell. I remember one time, just to kind of do a detour here, I was actually able to be on one of Stone Cold Steve Austin's phone call interviews. I forgot which episode of his podcast it was, but I got a chance to talk to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And one of the questions I was going to ask him was if he would actually fight CM Punk. If he would ever come back to fight CM Punk. This was like around 2012, when that was hot, right? Someone actually asked him that question before me. And Austin was clearly annoyed by it. So I knew, okay, I can't ask him that question. So I ended up asking him how he feel about the match with Shawn Michaels, because that was, come on, that's my first memory. I didn't know what to ask him. And he, my God, he praised the living hell out of Shawn Michaels. But regardless, it's not something Austin cares about anymore. I can just tell you, based off of that conversation, that interaction with him alone, he probably doesn't remember because he's talked to 10,000 people. But based off of that conversation, this guy is serious about being retired. And he does not want to come back. Not saying he can't come back. I'm pretty sure Austin, let me tell you something. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, I don't want to say Ric Flair, but I don't even want to say Bret Hart. The Rock, there are many others that I can name. These are the kind of people that had done it for so long and had done it at such a level where they can just come back and have a great match with anybody at any age. At any age. because that's who they are. They're the gems of this generation. So I'm pretty sure if Austin was to return, he would actually have a really awesome match. But he doesn't want to. And so I respect that. I respect that out of him, that he actually just wants to stay retired and remain retired. So it does make sense when people are like, you should come back and fight Goldberg. He's like, shut up. Shut up. Shut your damn mouth. I get it, man. It just makes a lot of sense. We continue on. Goldberg doesn't feel like this is when we start getting into his overall career. And this is way before we get into the WWE portion, but he just straight up said Goldberg didn't feel like he belonged in WWE. It was documented. He was not the easiest person to get along with because of how he was in the 90s. Basically, 90% of the people in the business during that time would give him the wrong advice. Because it was a, dog-eat-dog world. I'm going to do what I can to keep you under my foot so I can get over and make more money. And Goldberg knew about that. So he, stuck to his guns. Didn't listen to anybody, which pissed off a lot of people. And trust me, he carried that over into WWE, which, you can imagine how that made his career. It wasn't the best career for him. That run from 2003 to 2004, we'll talk about that. But just a bit of a spoiler, in case you wasn't around back then, it wasn't a good run. It really wasn't. But we'll get to that later. We talk about Goldberg, how he got into wrestling. Goldberg grew up watching wrestling with his grandmother. Grandmother? Not grandmother, but grandmother. It's like a mix between a grandfather and a grandmother. His grandmom. But he was always the football guy. He always had a passion for football. Wasn't really a wrestling fan. He grew up watching it with his grandmother, but didn't really care about wrestling. He said it was cathartic for him to tackle someone. Almost like a release. It was his passion. Football was his passion. His goal was to never be a wrestler. But it looked like, hey, it was just destined to happen. We talk about his career a little bit, how he got kicked off of, he got released from certain teams in the NFL. I don't remember all the teams. I think Rams was one of them. I forgot the other ones. I think it was like 4 teams he named. But he was hopping all over the place during the NFL. After a while, you just start to say, this isn't for me. So he starts going out partying, and one day, he starts meeting wrestlers. And the thing about this is, and he talks about this, Goldberg says he's not a social person. I mean, you wouldn't think that based off of his personality inside the ring. But he's not a social person. He wasn't when he first entered the business, at least. He said the only person he talked to was DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, which makes sense. DDP is Mr. Social. He likes to brag about himself, so he's gonna talk to you. He gonna talk to you. He gonna talk your ear off. But, I get that. I get the idea of being a fly on the wall. I'm kind of like that, too. Some of you don't think that because you hear me talk every day and you think, this guy talks a lot. He's very social. You only catch me during this period of the day. There are times I don't say shit. I don't have anything to talk about. Okay, I do. I just don't feel like talking. So I get that. If I don't have anything to say to you, why am I going to talk to you? So we get into Goldberg's career in WCW, World Championship Wrestling. Goldberg trained in the notorious, oh my god, I know about this, WCW Power Plant. That crappy ass warehouse. He was one of the guys to come from that. And one of the only few to be successful from it. Goldberg taped himself every day because he was serious about learning the craft. A guy named Sarge trained him and helped him develop his aggressive beast-like persona. And on his first dark match, they asked him, hey, what do you want to be called, Bill? And Goldberg said, the Hybrid. Time out. I'm so happy that didn't happen. That's a horrible name. Oh my god. That's like a Vince McMahon kind of deal. Like, if Goldberg was to debut in WWE, that's like something Vince McMahon, well, WWF at the time, but you know what I'm talking about. That's like something Vince McMahon would come up with. The hybrid? Ew. Bill, nah, bruh. And I'm happy that people who were agenting him said, that's a shitty ass name. Dude, you're gonna possibly be selling t-shirts. That's the name you want on your t-shirt? Now, to be fair, even Goldberg said this. He didn't think he was gonna be anyone big in WWF, let alone WCW, but anyone big in the wrestling business. So he just thought, just whatever, call me the hybrid. And then he thought twice about it and went, yeah, that's a pretty bad name. Call me Goldberg. And that's how we got Goldberg. In his first dark match, he didn't have a finish at all. There wasn't a finish to his dark match. And whoever he fought, forgot his name, he basically said, do you trust me? The guy went, yes. Okay. When I tell you, plant your feet and kiss your ass goodbye. And when he said that, I went, oh no. Oh no. If you know who Goldberg is, you know what was coming next. And yes, during the dark match, that poor guy got speared really badly. Like, he speared the shit out of him. And Goldberg won the match. And here's the thing, and he talked about this. When that spear happened, everyone backstage went, like, what the? I mean, if you've seen any of Goldberg's spears, you can imagine what their reaction was. Let me tell y'all something. In my opinion, I might have to say objectively, but just to be safe, in my opinion, Goldberg has the greatest spear in wrestling. The greatest spear. Roman Reigns, Edge. Who else has a spear? Bobby Lashley. No one has a better spear than Goldberg. There's something about the way he spears you that makes it feel like he broke you in more ways than one. I love his spears. Matter of fact, if you haven't, I'm pretty sure most of you watching me know who Goldberg is, but if you have not experienced Goldberg spears, when this is over with, just go in to YouTube and type in Goldberg spear compilation. You will be mesmerized by how awesome his spears are. Someone asked me what's my favorite spear from Goldberg. Oh, I can tell. There's so many. Okay, the ones that stick out to my mind right now are his spears to Christian and Nunzio. Nunzio during the Royal Rumble in 2004, and his spear to Christian in 2003 during his feud with Chris Jericho. I think. Just look it up. Just Goldberg spears Christian. Look that one up. It's really awesome. Those are the only ones that come to mind. There have been many other spears that made you go, holy crap. But those are the two that come to mind. His spears are awesome. So we continue with the conversation. As a result of that dark match, apparently that's when they decided, we're going to give you a streak. This is still WCW, by the way. After that one dark match, they said, oh no, we're going to make you a monster. Because, and I like this. Eric Bischoff, who was in charge, said we needed a spectacle. We needed someone to be that barbarian / gladiator inside the Coliseum. The guy that we feed people to. He's like the lion in the lion's den. And people love that. It's creating that Coliseum feel. Like, oh crap, here he comes. He's gonna kill somebody. It was smart. It was a smart move by Bischoff to create that kind of a character. It helped him stand out. What no one expected was for him to become the overnight sensation that he was. He became one of the biggest stars during that era. One of the only few homegrown WCW talent that became a major star, a mega star during that run. Because a lot of the people in WCW were already made during their run in WWF, especially the people in the NWO. I mean, think about it. Kevin Nash, Diesel. Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. Hulk Hogan. Well, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, but Hulk Hogan, come on. Macho Man. Even people like Mean Gene Okerlund, I can be here all day. Lex Luger. The only person Well, Sting is a homegrown talent. Sting is one of those only people. It's like DDP, Sting, and Goldberg are like the only few. I think there's like one more. Okay, for now, just those three that come to mind. These three are like the only few that became megastars in WCW. Yes, Chris Jericho, Booker T, and Scott Steiner, and many others would eventually become stars or megastars in WWE. But in WCW, it was just Goldberg, DDP, and Sting. I'm pretty sure someone just told me someone else in the live chat. I'll get to them later. But man, he got over like hotcakes. And all they did was just have him go on a streak. The power of a streak. Like, sometimes people don't understand or underestimate what that does to someone. So if you do it right with the right person, it's massive. It's really strong booking. And Goldberg was talking about how he came up with the psychology of his character. And he just gave credit to so many legends. He gave credit to Arn Anderson, Hulk Hogan, Sting, so many others. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. But he basically said, less is more. You know, you're the lion in the Coliseum. I know I'm going to win. So I'm going to hit you as hard as I can. And I'm going to make it look believable. He pancaked so many wrestlers. Which pissed off a lot of wrestlers. I mean, think about it this way. If Goldberg wasn't the aggressive beast-like persona that he was, going out there and completely running through wrestlers, would he have gotten over if he played it safe, really? Nah. He did the right thing. He might have gotten heat for it, but I'm happy he stuck to his guns. I still remember his matches back then. So talking about the streak matches, my favorite streak match is his match with the Giant okay, so I have 3, actually. My most favorite is his match with DDP during Halloween Havoc. That's literally, if not one of the greatest matches in WCW, might be the greatest. But literally one of the greatest matches in WCW history was his match against DDP, Halloween Havoc 1998. Freaking phenomenal. His match against Hulk Hogan is another favorite. But his match against the Giant, a.k.a. Big Show, a.k.a. Paul Wright, whatever you want to call him, oh my goodness. When he lit... My boys, ladies and gentlemen, if you had not seen him fight the Giant, again, I'm going to give you homework. Watch his spear compilation if you haven't seen him do a spear. But go and watch his match with the Giant in WCW. You will be in awe with the way he picks up the Giant and jackhammers him. What the... Austin never asked him about that moment. See, this is one of those times where I go, Austin, man, you might need to do part 2s with your people. Because there are some things that you miss. That was one of those moments, one of those groundbreaking, star-making moments where he literally jackhammered the Giant and had him standing up like a goddamn tree. And then it's one of the greatest moments in WCW history. You gotta go watch it. But the psychology of this man was simple. They want me to be a monster. So I'm going to make it look as convincing and dangerous as possible. And he got so popular that before he knew it, he was fighting Hulk Hogan. Guys, he debuted against Bill DeMott in 1997. 1997, he fought Bill DeMott. And if you've seen the match, look, Goldberg hasn't always been the greatest performer inside the ring. He'll tell you right now. He even said in his interview, he was very green. Still kind of is green. But that wasn't what he was supposed to be. Goldberg is not supposed to be Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Stone Cold, Triple H. He's never supposed to be that. He's a spectacle. Eric Bischoff knew exactly what he was doing with him. He made him a spectacle. So when you watch this match, keep in mind it's a little clunky, but they did him right. He no-sold a lot of Bill DeMott's moves, looked dominant, beat him quickly, spear jackhammer, and then instead of celebrating, he was like, that's number 1. And then over the next, few months, he just ran through people to the point where it became what it was, a spectacle. And a year later, and I do gotta talk about this for a second. a year later, on an episode of Nitro, not a pay-per-view, which they could have gotten so much mileage out of, but on a random episode of Nitro, Goldberg fought Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, for the WCW Championship. And that show drew an audience of 44,000. That's WrestleMania numbers. That's big four pay-per-view numbers. 44,000 on a regular episode of WCW Nitro. That's huge. And this guy hasn't even been in the company for a year yet. He became an overnight sensation real fast. And I'll get to that in just a second about how he felt about it. But just from my perspective, I remember watching the match. I instantly fell in love with him, man. It was one of those things where, and yes, we can look back on it and go, that should have been a pay-per-view match. I agree. Imagine if they made that a pay-per-view match. If they actually built to a pay-per-view match between him and Hogan, had the exact same match, they would have doubled the audience size, first off. But they would have doubled the money. They could have got pay-per-view buys out of that. Bro. Imagine that. But I remember watching that match as a kid, man. It was freaking amazing. It was like watching a superhero. It's like, for me, as a kid, and again, back then, during the 1990s, we had a lot of freaking awesome shows. Kids WB, Fox Kids. I'm going to be here all day. We're not going to do that. That was like watching a superhero. That was like watching Superman, Batman do their thing, man. It was really awesome. It was something that connected to me when I was younger. It was really cool. You know what I mean? And even Goldberg said in the interview that was the first time I felt like I was someone. That was the first time I was content with my work. Because before then, he does talk about this, Goldberg got a lot of crap. He got a lot of crap for not selling moves. But again, I was on a streak. You told me I'm a spectacle, right? You told me what you want. You want a monster. Well, if I don't sell a move in the first match with Bill DeMott, he didn't sell a goddamn move. Why would I go backwards? Why would I then sell a move for this guy? It makes no sense. And then he talked about, and I completely skipped over this and I apologize, but he talked about, of all the people he fought, there was one person he wanted to put over. He wanted to actually lose to this guy because he didn't care about the streak. It would have been stupid. It would have killed his streak, and I'm glad he didn't. But the only person he felt he wanted to put over was Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson, the Enforcer. Which, by the way, love me some Arn Anderson, man. One of the all-time greats. But anyways, he said he wanted to put him over because he did so much for him. He didn't feel right beating Arn Anderson. Now, I'm glad he didn't. He should have beaten Arn Anderson. When you think about where Goldberg was and would eventually be and where Arn Anderson ended up in, come on, what? No, it made no sense for Arn to beat him. But gladly, Arn was smart enough to go, that's stupid. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where you look back on it and you go, no, like, they did you right. You're one of the few things WCW did right, in my personal opinion. They would eventually screw it up, but for this point in time, Goldberg was made. He beat Hogan for the World Heavyweight Championship. He was a megastar. He was on top. He was on top of the world. And then it all just came crumbling down. Because we didn't talk about when he lost the streak. And before we get into that, I do want to mention a conversation they had about the Monday Night Wars. And they did talk about this at the beginning of the podcast, but they went into more detail on fans comparing, again, like, when you're 8 years old like me, it makes sense for you to get confused between Goldberg and Stone Cold Steve Austin during the time. But when you're in your 20s and 30s, y'all, really? Come on, they're completely different personalities. One comes out in pyro and fire and kills people in seconds. Another one flips middle fingers, drinks beer, cusses, DTA, don't trust anybody, shakes his head like a rattlesnake. How did you get these two confused? But apparently that's what happened. They discussed fans calling Goldberg a Steve Austin copycat, which pissed him off. He actually said he wanted to kill Austin at one point in time. Because that's like, what the I ain't no goddamn copycat. And that's one of those things where you go, yeah, I would be pissed off too. I was in Goldberg's position. But it is what it is. That was one of those competition kind of things where it's like, you're the enemy and I want to be better than you. So that makes sense. Alright, let's get to it. Starrcade 1998. The end of the streak. We see Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. We'll talk about Scott Hall in a second. We see Scott Hall come out with a taser during the match. Tase Goldberg. Goldberg turns into a jackknife powerbomb from Kevin Nash. Gets pinned 1, 2, 3. Streak ends. Kevin Nash is the new world champion. Which happened on his birthday. Goldberg lost his streak on his birthday in 1998. What a birthday present. I can remember as a kid not liking that at all. I was mad. I was mad. Not as mad as I was during that Finger Poke of Doom segment. Oh, that was even worse. But Austin asked him about it. How'd you feel about the streak ending? How'd you feel about the Finger Poke of Doom? How'd you feel about them just basically taking your streak and completely crapping on it? And Goldberg said it wasn't a big deal to him. At that point in time, it wasn't. He just lost. He just looked at it as a loss. At that point in time. In retrospect, it was garbage. And he said it like it was garbage. It was a bad move. He called it the ultimate rib. It was the ultimate rib. At some point, it needed to happen. And even I'll admit that. Like, okay, he had to lose at some point. But that's how you lose? You haven't gone this complete, utter destructive streak for over 100-something matches. It's like 170-something matches. It was a long-ass streak. And then this is how he loses? This is how he loses? This is how he loses. Really? It was bad. Horrible. I don't care what Kevin Nash says. That was not the way to go about it. I know Kevin Nash will come out and say, well, if you lose the streak and you lose your popularity, you were never that good. Actually, Kevin, he didn't lose his popularity. He still remained on top. He was still a megastar. Even nowadays, people consider him as one of the greatest of all time. So it goes to show you how much he impacted people. So this talk about, oh, he's probably not that good if you need a streak to be irrelevant. No, it has nothing to do with that whatsoever. It's just the fact that was horrible booking. And I'm pretty sure Kevin is not going to disparage it because he got the title. He ended the streak. We know Kevin Nash has an ego, right? So why the hell would Kevin Nash be upset that he ended the streak? So of course Kevin Nash thinks it was a great idea. He ended the streak. I would think it was a great idea too if I ended the streak. I'm just saying. Regardless, it was bad. And we can all agree that it should have been better. They go into his purpose of being a wrestler, and he equated it to why he wanted to be in the NFL. Goldberg wants to be a superhero for kids. For everyone, but for kids. And he felt standing inside the middle of the ring was more suited for being a superhero than the NFL. To which I said, yeah, this is more the place for the larger than life kind of personalities than the NFL. Just saying. How many people in the NFL actually reach that larger than life status though? Not that many. So this was the right move. We continue, and we talk about Goldberg's incident where he cut it was like an artery in his arm or his hand, when he punched the limousine windows. Yeah, I remember that too. I was there. I watched that. But yeah, we talk about Goldberg. They talk about Goldberg punching out the windows to a limousine and cutting open an artery to the point where he goes to smack the hood of the limousine. It's an angle that he's running. I don't know who's in the car or whatever, but there's someone in the limousine. I forgot. Someone's in the limousine. He's trying to get inside. He starts punching it. He could use the sledgehammer, but he was angry. He'll talk about that in a second. But he starts punching the windows, which he admits was dumb. And then he goes to hit the hood of the car, and blood just splatters everywhere. From that segment until he returns, he's out like for at least a year. He's gone. It was a horrible injury. It looked horrible. And this is where we get interesting, because the true story behind his aggression was that he was legitimately, this isn't a shoot. Well, this is a shoot. This isn't an angle. That's what I meant to say. This is a shoot. He was legitimately pissed off at Scott Hall. He wanted to kill him. Was that who was in the limousine? Probably. That would have made sense. But whatever the case is, he was pissed off at Scott Hall. He wanted to kill him. He even called him a piece of shit right there in the podcast. And apparently, he wasn't the only person to feel that way. I don't know what the story is with Scott Hall during his run in WCW, at least late WCW. But it sounds like he wasn't a big fan. He didn't have a lot of fans. And it doesn't look like Goldberg has changed his views on Scott Hall. So we should probably keep Scott Hall and Goldberg out of the same room. Yeah, he doesn't like Scott Hall whatsoever. He wants to kill him. We didn't talk about the heel turn in 2000, which, thank God, that was so fucking stupid. That was so stupid. Screw Vince Russo. That was dumb. I'm so happy we skipped over that. They do talk about Goldberg's depression. Apparently Goldberg went into a state of depression after he lost the streak. Because, again, he was on top of the world. He was a megastar. And after that, he was just a regular guy. He was just a regular guy in WCW. And that can do something to you. That can screw you up. It can really screw up your mindset. But he was aight. He got out of it eventually. We talk about WCW closing its doors. When WCW ended, Goldberg took advantage of his guaranteed money, Time Warner, multi-million-dollar golden contract and stayed home to recover. He was going to get paid millions of dollars just to stay home. Just like Hogan, just like Sting, just like Nash, just like Hall, just like many others in WCW. The Booker T's, the Chris Jerichos, the Rey Mysterios. Wait, didn't Rey Mysterio have a... Yeah, Rey Mysterio didn't appear until 2002. So he probably had a guaranteed contract as well. Eddie Guerrero, they already left. They were already gone. Way before then. But unless you had a golden contract, you had to go to WWF. You had no choice. So they went to WWE, and then Goldberg would appear in 2003 against The Rock, who they didn't talk about. Like, come on, dude. You debuted against The Rock. Like, what? Like, that's one of those things where I just kind of go, does anybody on the staff ever give Austin, like, bullet points? Dude, talk about The Rock. Like, I want to hear stories with Goldberg and The Rock. I would have loved to have heard him talk about The Rock. Because The Rock put him over like hotcakes. Rock made him look really strong. And he deserved some kind of credit for that. Anyways. To be fair, I'm kind of glad Goldberg didn't participate in the invasion. It would have been cool, but nah, this was good. I'm glad he debuted here. Anyways, when Goldberg came into WWE in 2003, he talked about how the locker room atmosphere was. And he said the locker room saw him as the enemy since he came in from WCW. Yeah, that's a very familiar story. I'm pretty sure that's how Booker T and Hall and Nash and all those other guys felt. The only person I guarantee you didn't get that feeling was Hulk Hogan, because he was a WWF guy first. But Booker T, oh, sorry, you're the enemy. Scott Steiner, sorry, you're the enemy. It's stupid. I mean, I get it. This guy got over in enemy territory, and now he's gonna come over here and take the top spot? Yeah, that didn't go over well. I wouldn't expect that to go over well, but at the same time, it's like, really, y'all? Like, this is a mega star. This is Goldberg. This isn't Scott Steiner. This isn't just some regular WCW guy. This is one of WCW's best talents, and he's here to make you some goddamn money. Shut up. But it's sad, man. It's even sadder when you hear people like Triple H didn't even like him. Triple H! Do I need to talk about who Triple H is? Good. This is during 2003, right? So this is Triple H's reign of terror. Oh no. Yeah, they did not get along whatsoever. Now, Goldberg did eventually beat Triple H for the World Championship. Those of you who don't remember, Goldberg is a former WCW and WWE World Heavyweight Champion for a very short period of time. But even I remember that bullshit finish at SummerSlam where Triple H beat Goldberg in the Elimination Chamber. That should have never happened. That match should have gone to Goldberg. And let me tell y'all something. That match itself, outside of the ending, is a spectacular match. Fantastic. And then it goes completely to shit when Triple H beat Goldberg. I remember that match. I remember being pissed off. I think that was one of the only times. Now, there's only been like a couple of times where I'm like, really, Triple H? You couldn't have put him over? There were 2 times. One, there was Booker T. The other one was Goldberg. Now, eventually, Triple H would do the right thing and put over Goldberg at the next pay-per-view, at Unforgiven, only to get the belt back months later. But regardless, he did the right thing eventually. It should have happened at SummerSlam. That would have been a star-making performance. His match at Unforgiven was just basically you regretting your decision and going, ooh, fans are pissed off about that. Really? I'm getting fired up about this. Yeah, they didn't treat him right. They treated Goldberg like crap at WWE. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They treated him like shit. Yes, they gave him a strong run at first. He had matches against The Rock and Chris Jericho, but he was nowhere near the megastar in WCW. Nowhere near. And more so than WCW, there were a lot of people backstage who were telling him how to act, who were giving him advice. Remember that, giving him advice to make sure that he didn't get over. Now, Goldberg still got over because it's freaking Goldberg, but they did everything they could to put him under their boot. Everything. And then we get to his match with Brock Lesnar. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. WrestleMania 20. 2004. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg with Stone Cold Steve Austin as a special guest referee. Those of you who have followed my channel, you've seen my top 10 worst matches of all time list. This match is on there. This, to me, what hurts this match the most is that it had so much anticipation. They hyped this thing up to be one of the greatest matches of all time. And why wouldn't they? It's 2 of the biggest beasts, most dominant performers in all of wrestling, Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, having their first match together at a WrestleMania, and the special guest referee is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, come on, bro. Like, this should have been one of the greatest matches of all time. And it wasn't. It was the furthest thing from it. It sucked. It was horrible. Oh my goodness. And what made it bad was the crowd. Madison Square Garden, during that time, they knew. They knew that these two were leaving. Both of them. This was their last match. And so they gave them both crap. They booed both men. Completely crapped on the match. Sung that na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye. Sung that song, and then it was downhill from there. The match was slow. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. And Goldberg talked about it. Here's what he said. Goldberg said he hated that match. Really, Goldberg? Who here loved that match? Find the guy that rose his hand and smack him for me. Thank you. Anyways, yeah, Goldberg hated the match. And as a result of that match, he had a very long-standing, horrible relationship with WWE. He had let's just say he had strong animosity for the company for a while. As he should. Who wouldn't? I mean, think about it this way. This guy came into the WWE hoping he would get the same treatment in WCW. Well, to be fair, I don't know why he thought that. But he at least would, in my opinion, should have gotten a fair shot to be a top guy. He didn't. He spent the entire year being defensive. And, you know, the thing about that is, Goldberg just wanted to be a team player. He just wanted to do what he was told to do. And he got treated like shit. They booked him so bad. Why? Because he came from WCW. And then you get booked horribly for a good year, and then this is the match you end on? And then you end your career in WWE with this match, one of the worst matches of all time. You would hate wrestling too. You would hate WWE too. That was horrible. That was a horrible way for him to go out. Luckily, it wasn't the end of his career. He would eventually come back and redeem himself. Both him and Brock. Oh my goodness. Thank God both him and Brock came back to redeem themselves. But yeah, that is easily one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time. And it did feel like they were trying to discount everything he did in WCW. Discredit him. And in a sense, they did. Now, cooler heads prevailed, and they did the right thing bringing him back. We'll talk about that in a second. But that was a horrible time for Goldberg. After he left, he did have a short run in Japan. Some of you don't know about that. Check out his matches. It didn't go anywhere. It was just a few matches here and there. Met his wife, had a child, and he became a family man. And that was Goldberg for the next 12 years. And then we get to 2016. Not that long ago, actually. 3 years ago. Exactly 3 years ago. This is when Goldberg gets the call to come out to WWE. Goldberg's wife never saw him wrestle. Goldberg's son never saw him wrestle. None of them are wrestling fans, especially his wife. She didn't understand wrestling whatsoever. So they don't know who, they know nothing about Bill Goldberg during his time. So when he got the opportunity to come back, it wasn't just about redeeming himself, which, trust me, that was part of it. It was such a horrible way to end someone's career. There was no way in hell he was going to let that be the end of it. So, yeah. Had nothing to do with this WrestleMania. It had a lot to do with that, but it wasn't just the only thing to do with it. He said more so, he wanted to show he was not a flash in the pan. He wasn't just a guy that was just good in the 90s and that was it. And also, he wanted to be a superhero to his son. It was to prove to himself that he is a legend. And when he came back, he was nervous as hell. He was nervous about returning. Because, again, Goldberg said himself, so I can say it here. He's not a Shawn Michaels. He's not a Ric Flair. He's not a Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's not a seasoned wrestler. Okay, he was never that guy. He was a spectacle. He was a powerhouse that went in there, killed people, and went home. Well, he's in his 50s now. He's in his 50s now. Okay? So by this point, 1997, 1998, that was 20 years ago. Okay? That was when he was in his 30s. Where he can pick up the giant like it was nothing. He's in his 50s now. Okay? He's in his 50s. He's not the strong man he used to be. So you can imagine why he was nervous. Here I go. I'm coming back. And I don't know if I can get back on that bike and ride it as much as I used to. Because Goldberg was I hate this phrase, but it kind of stands true. He was a one-trick pony. Get in there, spear, win in seconds. This isn't something that can be done easily. You go away for 20 years, now you come back. Well, not 20 years, 12 years, excuse me. Now you come back, and you're expected to be this monster? I don't know about that, bruh. Well, they move on to his debut. Well, his return in 2016 on Raw. I was there. I watched it. And man, he got a massive pop, man. What a return. He got a massive ovation. Goldberg chants. They gave him a standing ovation for like 5 minutes. Made him all emotional. Had him crying. They didn't forget. We didn't forget, bruh. We remember Goldberg. That was major. And he even said in the podcast, that was the first time he felt all his work meant something. That was the first time he felt, you know what, I'm not a flash in the pan. I am actually a legend. You are. Goldberg is a legend. I don't care what anybody says. He knew, and he even talked about this too. He knew how much of a pessimistic, I swear, pessimistic person he is. So he already kind of suspected that the crowd was going to boo him. That's what he said. He said, I know the crowd's going to boo me. I know the crowd's going to boo me. They're going to give me crap. I'm expecting it. No. They showered him with love. Showered him with all kinds of love. And it was cool to see that. From a fan's perspective, that was cool. Like, that was something he deserved to have. And I'm glad he got that. He also talked about how he needed to add a new layer to his character. He can't just be the guy that eats wrestlers and spit them out his ass. I like that phrase. Eats wrestlers and spits them out his ass. It's quite a visual. But he said he had to be something different. Now that he's older and wiser, he decided to add the family man. More of a family man kind of, what's the one I'm looking for? Element to his character, which I thought was cool. It kind of fit very well, actually. Anyway, he was terrified. But when he got out there, it just... And he said one of the most instrumental guys to aid Goldberg in his return, I think we all know who it is. And his name is Paul Heyman. Yes, Paul Heyman was one of the, if not the only, guys to help him rekindle what he was. And he even said he feels if Heyman wasn't there, he wouldn't have come back. Heyman was one of the few to go, I got you. Because he understood him. He understood how to book Goldberg. So they react to Goldberg beating Brock Lesnar in 90 seconds. I remember that too. That was massive. That was crazy. And to no one's shock, guess who actually spoke up to have that happen? It was Brock Lesnar. Why did Brock Lesnar? Well, it was Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, but it was mostly Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar went to Vince and said he needs to beat me in 90 seconds. Why? Because he wanted to make the money. That got Goldberg so much attention. He would eventually go on to beat Kevin Owens for the Universal title and then fight Brock Lesnar for the title at Brock Lesnar's next match at WrestleMania. So let me just say this. The fact that Goldberg in 2016 was able to show the world that he's still as good as he once was. Because that's exactly what Goldberg is. He's a spectacle. He ain't your average wrestler. He's a spectacle. And that's okay. Fit in your lane. Stay in your lane, son. Stay in your motherfucking lane. He's a spectacle. And he made it work. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy Goldberg was able to live that out one more time. And that's really cool. And to really make it feel good, to really put a cap on this special return, they had their rematch at WrestleMania 33. Right? 33? Yeah, 33. And they had a match of the night candidate. I thought it was match of the night. I thought the match was great. And honestly, it was like 4 minutes, right? It might be one of my favorite WrestleMania matches. I'm joking. It was a great match, though. It was awesome. It was exactly where it needed to be. And you know what? Goldberg lost, and I wasn't pissed. One of the only few times Goldberg lost. I was pissed that Goldberg lost the streak to Kevin Nash, 1998. I was pissed that he lost to Triple H at SummerSlam. This was one of those few times when Goldberg lost, I was actually okay with it. I was actually okay with it. Like, yeah, okay. That was great. So that's how you know this worked. This was exactly what needed to happen. These two redeemed themselves. It was the perfect redemption arc for Goldberg, and then he went into the Hall of Fame. Like, come on, man, that's perfect. They did him right. The same company that did him so wrong in 2003, 2004, did him so right in 2016, and then they gave him the Hall of Fame. That's awesome. Now, I'm not going to talk about him having the match against Undertaker. We're going to forget about that. I'm happy we didn't talk about that. We could have talked about it, but we didn't. That was a good move. Let's talk about what they did right and not what they did wrong. They did him right by having him go on that redemption run. That was really cool. And he actually said throughout that entire day, he's usually really serious, the fly on the wall. Nah, he was very social. He was very happy. Hugged everybody, laughed with people, even smiled a little bit while going out into the ring. He was a happy guy. As he should have been. Because he got his run. I couldn't be happier for Goldberg. He deserved it. You could hate Goldberg for not being the greatest wrestler of all time. Okay. Because you're right. He's not the greatest wrestler of all time. He's not even in the top 20. Honestly. But still, you can't take away the fact that Goldberg, and I'm going to say it, he is one of the all-time greats. He is one of the all-time greats to ever do it. He's in my top 50. I don't care what anyone says. He was an overnight sensation in the 90s that reached heights no one ever thought he would reach. And he did it by himself, following his own guns. Didn't get advice from anybody. I mean, he got advice from some people that he listened to, but he didn't take shit from people, if you know what I mean. He did it his way. He stuck to his guns. And he got over. Massive. And he stayed over. Throughout all the crap. Throughout all the bullshit. Goldberg stayed over for over 2 decades. Who do you know became a megastar in the 90s? Remained a megastar throughout all of the bullshit, and then 20 years later came back and still got megastar reactions. Man, this is what a career. That was an awesome career. Definitely one of the greatest of all time, and he deserved it. They end the interview with Austin asking him, "So what's next? What's next for you? Who's next?" And Goldberg said, "I'm moving to Texas." And I went, "Excuse me? You're coming to my state?" Yeah, Goldberg's moving to Texas, apparently. He's coming to the same state. I gotta brag, I'm sorry. Y'all gonna hate me, but the same state as, people like Shawn Michaels, San Antonio, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Victoria, Texas, and then Undertaker here in Houston. We also got Mark Henry. We got Eddie Guerrero from El Paso. Got the Von Erichs. I'm joking. But that's awesome. I'm actually happy to know that he's coming here to Texas. So, hey Goldberg, if you're happy to be watching this, which I know you're not, but if you are, you should come to Houston sometimes, do an autograph signing and say hello to fans. I might appear. Just saying. But yeah, he's looking forward to whatever new chapter appears in his life, and that was the end of the interview. And there you go. That was a really good podcast. That was very heartwarming, and you can tell Goldberg is content. You can tell he's happy with himself. And that's a life goal for me, honestly. I want to get to a point in my life where I'm just content. Whatever happens from here on out, whatever. Now, I'm pretty sure he had a lot to say about that match with The Undertaker. We also didn't talk about his stuff with Matt Riddle. I thought that was interesting too. We didn't mention Matt Riddle whatsoever. I think that was on purpose. I think when you're interviewing Goldberg, you don't want to get into those kind of things right now. Eventually, we're going to have to come back to his feud with Matt Riddle, because Matt Riddle ain't going nowhere. Matt Riddle is on the verge of being a big star in WWE right now. So I'm giving it a good 5 years, he might be a megastar too. And if that happens, we're going to come back to this. So we going to have to talk about Mr. Riddle eventually. But for this interview, it's okay. This is cool. So I enjoyed this. And I'm looking forward to seeing who Austin interviews next. Who should Stone Cold Steve Austin interview next? That's a question for you. But for me, he should definitely interview Shawn Michaels. That's got to happen. You got to interview Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is part of the reason why Austin is where he is today. Again, that first match I ever saw, WrestleMania 14, Michaels versus Austin, Mike Tyson. They got to talk about it. They got to do the interview. So that's going to happen eventually. And they're going to probably do more discussions on their history with each other and then modern day wrestling, which I can't wait for. That's going to be very interesting when I watch that. But check this out. I know I talked about Austin doing a second interview with The Undertaker. You know who I also want him to do a part 2 with? Vince McMahon. Think about that. Another interview with Vince McMahon. Would he do it though? I think he would. I think he would do it again. I would love to see that. I would love to see one more interview with Vince McMahon. Here's one. What about Shane McMahon? They have a history. Austin and Shane have a history. They could do something. That'd be quite the interview to see. I would like to see him interview. He did interview AJ Styles already. That one was good. I remember that. Who could he interview? Like, this is Austin, so sky's the limit. Sky's the limit with who he can interview. I gotta think about some people. Oh, I love this one. CM Punk. Austin would have to. You know what? I was getting ready to say Austin would have to pull some strings with WWE or with Fox to make that happen. Honestly, I think Austin could just call CM Punk and they would make it happen. If they do that interview, I'm there. You know I'm there. Yeah, no. Oh my goodness. I would be there. Someone just said Rob Van Dam. I don't know about that one. The Rock. I would like to see it, but I don't know if The Rock would do it. I don't know about that. Edge. Ooh, that's a good one. Edge. Okay. Well, that would be quite the interesting interview. Paige. I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate him interviewing Paige. Didn't he already interview Paige? I think he already interviewed Paige, so that would be a part 2 as well. I don't know. There's so many people he can interview, but this was awesome. This was great. I really enjoyed this. So if you enjoyed the interview, first off, thank you for watching. Thank you for giving me, once again, thank you for making me a part of your day. Be sure you like the video, subscribe. Also, we got more stuff coming later on this year. So don't miss out. You want to click that bell, get notified when the videos come up, and subscribe, because we still got some things to go. Following this video, the next one, if I'm not mistaken, unless something crazy happens, is the End of the Decade Awards. Not End of the Year Awards, End of the Decade Wrestling Awards. That's coming very soon. I'm going to get started on that this week and have something to you probably next weekend, because after next weekend, I'm not going to be making any more videos, guys, because that's it. Until the new year, where I come back as your boy, Alyx. Just Alyx. No more Deluxe Man after that. And then we get started on Royal Rumble. We get started immediately on building to Royal Rumble. So we're going to have a lot to discuss by that time. Till then, guys, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for making me a part of your day. And as always, this is your boy Deluxe Man signing off right here in your boy Deluxe Man's World. Take it easy and have a good holiday season. Peace.